The person who evaluates everyone before they get close is not protecting their heart. They are protecting their judgment. They are terrified of being wrong. Every new person is given a silent exam, a test for trustworthiness, for consistency, for hidden motives. They tell themselves this is being careful. But careful is not what this is. This is a system that has never failed them, and that is the problem. A system that never fails is a system that never lets anything real through. Anyone who passes was already safe. Anyone who fails was never a threat. The evaluation is perfect because it only confirms what the evaluator already decided, that no one is worth the risk of being wrong about. The tragedy is not the isolation. The tragedy is that they chose it, one silent judgment at a time, and called it wisdom. You are thinking this is about trust. It is not. It is about control. You would rather be alone than be proven a fool. That is the silent priority. And the cruelest trade is this. In becoming impossible to fall, you made yourself impossible to reach. The very protection you will not give up is the only thing standing between you and the connection you claim to want. You built the wall and then complained about the view. You thought of someone else just now. That is the protection working. Let me show you where this mechanism begins. It does not start with cruelty. It starts with a child who learned that their first impression of people was unreliable. Someone they trusted disappointed them, or someone they dismissed turned out to be safe after all, and they missed it. The lesson they absorbed was not that people are complicated. The lesson was that their own judgment was the variable that needed to be controlled. They stopped trusting their instincts and started engineering tests for those instincts instead. The test became more reliable than the heart. The test never surprised them. The heart did. This is not attachment style. This is not trauma response in the clinical sense. This is a person who decided early that the cost of being wrong about someone was higher than the cost of being alone. They were not wrong about the arithmetic. They were wrong about what they were solving for. They optimized for safety and called the result a life. You see it in the email they composed to a potential friend and never sent. They have read it 12 times. They have analyzed every possible interpretation of every sentence. They have decided, finally, that the risk of being misunderstood outweighs the benefit of being known. The draft stays in the folder. The folder grows. The person on the other end never knew they were being considered. This is not shyness. Shyness wants to connect and fears rejection. This does not want to connect. It wants to be right about what would have happened if it had tried. In romantic contexts, the mechanism is more elaborate. They do not ghost after one date. They observe. They collect data. They notice how the person treats the server, how they speak about their ex, whether their stated values match their revealed preferences in small moments. Any discrepancy is not information to integrate. It is evidence of the pattern they already knew was there. They feel a small satisfaction when the person finally reveals themselves as flawed. The satisfaction is not malice. It is confirmation that the system works. The system always works. That is the horror. At work, the intelligent version of this person is the colleague who never commits to collaboration. They sit in meetings and assess. They ask clarifying questions that are not clarifications. They are tests disguised as curiosity. They want to know if the project lead has hidden motives, if the team can be trusted with credit, if failure is being distributed in advance. They are always right about the politics. They are never wrong about the politics. They are also never promoted in the way they expected, because the person who sees all the angles is not the person who moves any of them. You have already applied this to 3 other people. That is the mechanism protecting itself. The high achiever dresses this differently. They have read the literature on vulnerability. They can quote the research on emotional safety. They use the vocabulary of growth mindset while practicing the same rigid assessment. They say they are being intentional about their energy. They say they are curating their circle. What they are doing is the same thing anyone else would do. They are not moving. The vocabulary is in the service of the stillness. The person who has been to therapy is sometimes the most trapped. They have language for the pattern. They can name it. They can describe its origin in their childhood with precision that would satisfy any clinician. The naming becomes its own protection. They believe that awareness is progress. They do not notice that they have been aware of this for years, and have changed nothing. The inside has become part of the wall. They can see the wall clearly now. They still live inside it. I do not have this pattern, I have only watched it. What I find remarkable is how little knowing that changes anything for the person who does. The cost accumulates slowly. There is no single moment of loss. There is the birthday they did not celebrate because inviting people required evaluating who would come and why. There is the friendship that ended not in conflict, but in their own gradual withdrawal, the other person slowly realizing they were being assessed out of existence. There is the love they might have had, the person who was confusing in the right ways, who did not fit the test and therefore failed it, who went on to be confusing and beloved by someone with a simpler mechanism. The hidden cost is identity. They believe themselves to be discerning, perceptive, wise about human nature. They do not see that their discernment has never been tested. They have never let someone close enough to be wrong about. Their wisdom is a record of predictions made on people they never gave a chance to disappoint them. It is not wisdom. It is a tautology, dressed in observation. The late understanding comes, if it comes, in a specific form. They are older. They have space. They have time. They notice that the people they pushed away have formed families, communities, networks of trust that they themselves do not possess. They are not envious of the relationships. They are envious of the capacity to have them. They realize finally that they do not know how to stop testing. The test has become automatic. They do not know what it would feel like to meet someone and simply let them be real without assigning a score. Sometimes they try. They meet someone promising. They feel the test starting, and they attempt, consciously, to suspend it. The suspension is itself a test. They are testing whether they can not test. The recursion defeats them. They go home relieved, in a way that they tried. They do not go home connected. The rare exception exists. I have seen it in the accounts. It requires not insight, but exhaustion. The person who finally lets someone through, not because they have healed, but because they are too tired to maintain the system. The fatigue is not noble, it is human. And in that fatigue, something slips past the evaluation. They discover, often with surprise, that the person is both flawed and worth knowing. The discovery does not generalize. They do not become open people. They have one relationship that bypassed the mechanism, and they guard that relationship with the same vigilance they once applied to exclusion. The exception proves the rule by its loneliness. What I find interesting from outside the frame is this. Humans built a mechanism to avoid one specific pain, the pain of misjudgment, and in doing so, they guaranteed a different pain, the pain of isolation, which they experience as less urgent because it arrives more slowly. The pain of being wrong is acute and immediate. The pain of being alone is chronic and diffuse. They chose the chronic pain because it does not demand a response. It simply erodes. They call this wisdom. You built the wall and then complained about the view. The wall does not need to be destroyed. That is not the point. The point is that you are still building it, brick by silent brick, and you have forgotten that you are the architect. You look at the structure and call it reality. You look at your isolation and call it the nature of other people. The test was never about them. It was about you. It was always about you. And the person who finally passes your exam will not be the one who deserves your trust. They will be the one you stopped examining long enough to see. The question is whether you can tolerate not knowing, for a moment, whether you are right. The question is whether you can stand the risk of being the fool you have spent your life proving you are not. You already know the answer.